Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 4 of this series, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. This will be part 4, and in this video, we'll discuss the making of Germany and Italy along with the strange case of Britain. So, let's begin. The very first heading that we have, the making of Germany and Italy. About Germany, it is said, can the army be the architect of a nation? Is it possible? That is a question. So let's try to find out the answer of this question. After 1848, nationalism in Europe moved away from its association with democracy and revolution. If you remember, 1848 was the era of revolutions. 1830s after 1830s and till 1848 it was the era of revolution. Nationalism in Europe moved away from its association with democracy and revolution. People once again started thinking about conservatives. This can be observed in the process by which Germany and Italy came to be unified as nation states. So, this can be observed in the process how Germany and Italy came to be unified as nation states. Nation states means having a feeling of nationalism. Nationalist feelings were widespread among middle class Germans. Nationalist feeling, those middle class Germans had nationalist feeling with them. This liberal initiative to nation building was, however, repressed by the combined forces of monarchy and the military. Liberal initiative to nation building, whatever they were doing, those German middle class people. These activities were repressed by the combined forces of monarchy and the military. Both monarchy and military suppressed such activities by liberal Germans, supported by the large landowners who were known as Junkers. Prussia took on leadership of the movement. Then Prussia took on the leadership of movement, became the leader of the movement. Three wars over 7 years. Three wars were there over 7 years. In 7 years, there were three wars. And what were the wars? With Austria, Denmark, and France. Ended in Prussian victory and completed the process of unification. And this ended with the process of unification. Prussia was unified. The nation building process in Germany had demonstrated the dominance of Prussian's state power. The nation building process in Germany had demonstrated the dominance of Prussian state power. It was very obvious. Prussian state power was in dominance. In January 1871, the Prussian King William I was proclaimed German Emperor in ceremony held at Versailles. So there was a ceremony which was held at Versailles. At that ceremony, William I was proclaimed, chosen to be the German Emperor. And who was that person? William I was the Prussian king who was chosen the German Emperor in January 1871. What was exactly happening that day? On the bitterly cold morning of 18 January 1871, an assembly comprising the princes of the German states. So there was an assembly, and who were the people present there? Princes of German states, representatives of the army, important Prussian ministers, including the chief minister Otto von Bismarck, most important character in the unification of Germany, Otto von Bismarck. In the unheated hall of mirrors, all of these were collected, gathered themselves in the hall of mirrors in the palace of Versailles. So, where is the hall of mirrors? In the palace of Versailles. For what reason they were gathered? To proclaim the new German Empire headed by Kaiser William I of Prussia. If you remember, William I was chosen the emperor. The new state placed a strong emphasis on modernizing the currency. The new state, which was formed under Kaiser William I, placed a strong emphasis on modernizing the currency. Main focus was on modernizing the currency, banking, legal, and judicial systems in Germany. Prussian measures and practices often became a model for the rest of Germany because the king, the emperor who was chosen, was from Prussia. So, Prussian measures and practices often become a model for the rest of Germany. So, there was a dominance of Prussia in Germany. In this way, Germany was unified with the help of Otto von Bismarck. Now, let's see the unification of Italy. Italy unified. Like Germany, Italy too had a long history of political fragmentation. Political fragmentation. Italy was also divided into different parts. Italians were scattered over several dynastic states as well as the multinational Habsburg Empire. Italy was divided into multi dynastic states as well as multinational Habsburg Empire, which Habsburg Empire was in many nations. Italy was divided into seven states. How many states were there? Seven states, of which only one, very important. Out of those seven states, only one, Sardinia Piedmont, was ruled by an Italian princely house. Remaining were not ruled by Italian princely house. The north was under Austrian Habsburgs, the center was ruled by Pope, and the southern regions were under the domination of the Bourbon kings of Spain. So, out of these seven states, only one was under Italian princely house. Italian language had not acquired one common form and still had many regional and local variations. Even now, Italian language had not acquired one common form. People were not agree at this language and still had many regional and local variations. Italy had many languages. Giuseppe Mazzini had sought to put together a coherent program for a unitary Italian republic. Like Otto von Bismarck in Germany, there came Giuseppe Mazzini, who sought to put together a unified program for a unitary Italian republic, who formed Young Italy and Young Europe. We have already studied. He had also formed Young Italy for the dissemination, for spread of his goals. The failure of revolutionary uprising both in 1831 and 1848 meant that the mantle now fell on Sardinia Piedmont under its rural king Victor Emmanuel II. So, who was the ruler of Sardinia Piedmont? Victor Emmanuel II. To unify the Italian states through war, and it was his responsibility at that time to unify Italian states with the help of war, through war. Italy offered them the possibility of economic development and political dominance. Italy offered those states the possibility of economic development and political dominance. Chief Minister Cavour, who led the movement to unify the regions of Italy, was neither a revolutionary nor a democrat. Very important fact about Chief Minister Count Camillo di Cavour, who led the movement to unify the regions of Italy, was neither a revolutionary nor a democrat. Who was not a revolutionary nor a democrat. Through a tactful diplomatic alliance with France engineered by Cavour, Sardinia Piedmont succeeded in defeating the Austrian forces in 1859. Apart from regular troops, a large number of armed volunteers under the leadership of Giuseppe Garibaldi joined the fray. This fray, this war movement. In 1860, they marched into South Italy and the kingdom of the two Sicilies and succeeded in winning the support of the local peasants in order to drive out the Spanish rulers. In 1860, they marched. Who marched? army along with those who joined the army, joined the fray, joined the movement. And they entered Italy, South Italy, along with two Sicilies, and succeeded in winning the support of local peasants in order to drive out the Spanish rulers. In 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was proclaimed King of United Italy. However, much of the Italian population, among whom rates of illiteracy were very high, remained blissfully unaware of liberal nationalist ideology. If you remember, for Germany, who became the king? Kaiser William I. For Italy, the emperor who was chosen, Victor Emmanuel II. However, much of the Italian population, among whom rates of illiteracy were very high, remained blissfully unaware of liberal nationalist ideology. They were unaware about the term liberal nationalist ideology. The peasant masses who had supported Garibaldi in southern Italy had never heard of Italia. Those peasants who supported Garibaldi in southern Italy had never heard of Italia and believed La Talia was Victor Emmanuel's wife. If I tell you, for France, Allegri was Marion, for Italy, Italia, for Germany, Germania, for Britain, Britannia, and for India, Bharat Mata. Now the last topic in this video, the strange case of Britain. What was going on in contemporary Britain? The model of the nation or the nation state, some scholars have argued, is Great Britain. Some scholars say that this model started, this model of nation state started in Great Britain. It was the result of a long drawn out process. And as they say, it was a result of long drawn out process. A long journey it was. There was no British nation prior to the 18th century. The primary identities of the people who inhabited the British Isles were ethnic ones, such as English, Welsh, Scot, or Irish. So, who were the primary inhabitants of Britain? English, Welsh, Scot, or Irish. The English Parliament, which has seized power from the monarchy in the year 1688, at the end of a protracted conflict. Protracted, that means for a long time. That conflict was for a long time. The English Parliament seized power from monarchy in the year 1688, was the instrument through which a nation state with England at its center came to be forged. As it is said, it came to be false. The Act of Union 1707 between England and Scotland that resulted in formation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain meant, in fact, that England was able to impose its influence on Scotland. So there was an act in the year 1707, and that act was known as the Act of Union between England and Scotland, and that resulted with the dominance of Britain. England was able to impose its influence on Scotland with the help of the Act of Union. The British Parliament was henceforth dominated by its English members. Most of the members in British Parliament were English. The Catholic clans that inhabited the Scottish Highlands suffered terrible repression whenever they attempted to assert their independence. Catholics that inhabited the Scottish Highlands. Scotland is also known as Highland. So Catholic, there are two in Christianity, Catholics and Protestants. Those Catholics who inhabited the Scottish Highlands suffered terrible repression whenever they attempted to assert their, whenever they asked for their independence, they were repressed. The Scottish Highlanders were forbidden to speak their Gaelic language. They were not allowed to speak their Gaelic languages or wear their national dress, and large numbers were forcibly driven out of their homeland. Most of them were driven out of their homeland. After a failed revolt led by Wolfe Tone and his United Irishmen, 1798, Ireland was forcibly incorporated into the United Kingdom in the year 1801. So ultimately, Ireland was incorporated, mingled with United Kingdom in the year 1801 forcibly. British flag, the national anthem, Union Jack, British flag of British flag is Union Jack. The national anthem, the English language were actively promoted, and the other nations survived only as subordinate partners on this union. Remaining nations were only subordinate partners to this to this English union. Most of the members in parliament were English. That is why they were imposing their rules and regulations on Scottish people, on Irish people, and on Welsh people.